Hi everyone, I see familiar faces, that's good. Yay. Right, and there's a couple of people coming in the waiting room, so just give us a second, a minute or so we make sure everybody who wants to come on board is on board. Yeah, that's looking good. All right, and we are recording this session, so in case you want to watch us again, or welcome everyone who's watching us now on the recording. Let's get started. My name is Janny. I'm one of the local team leaders here in the Bayside area, and tonight with me on stage, I don't know which side of the screen you can see her, is Mandy. Mandy's also a team leader here in the Bayside area, and together we two will present to you the Easy Essential class, TM6 class, specially designed for new owners, to give you a little bit of recap to get you started, and for you the option to also ask a couple of questions. I know from the registration that we also have a couple of non-owners here tonight, or TM5 owners, so very welcome, warm welcome out to you as well. And I hope you're curious and you want to see just a little bit more about the TM6 and notice the differences between the 2 or 3 different models that are out there on the market. And I hope we're going to show you something tonight that will blow your socks off. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just bring you a little bit closer to my TM6 and show you that screen that we have there. Hope you can see that. Yeah, perfect. Now my camera has adjusted. All right, give me a second. Here we go. So, as you can probably see, so those of you who've got a TM6, you will know this familiar look at. We have this beautiful big touch screen here, and I'm using my stylus pen. That's a little bit easier. So the bubble that we are touching is the bubble that you can see becomes a little bit bigger, and that is still the case no matter which model you're using. We always have the combination of time, temperature and speed. And the bubble that's bigger is the one that we actually need to use my other arm operating here with the dial. So here we can set the timer. If you touch and hold the bubble that's biggest, you can actually zero that back, just in case you didn't know it. In the middle, we are setting the temperature manually all the way up to Varoma. Varoma temperature usually goes along with the Varoma steaming unit. And again here, so just hold your finger or your stylus pen on top to zero it back. And finally, this is the last bubble. That's how we operate and start and stop the machine. In case you haven't used it yet, but you'll see there's a little blade symbol underneath. That means we're going forward using the sharp side of the blades. If you want to enable reverse, you just need to tap on the blade symbol, and it will quickly tell you that reverse is enabled, and the left circle sign will remain, telling you, oh, actually now I'm going backwards, and be very gentle to the food that you just put into my bowl. And the same way back, you can just tap on that again, and it goes forward again. All right, what else do we have on this screen here? We do have a little magnifier glass up there. This means from here we can go straight into Cookie Dough search function. And we have that what we call a hamburger symbol there on the top. So basically the 3 stripes that we have. If you click on that, that's when you can access your recipes that are either pre-programmed on the machine, which are the 120 recipes from your basic cookbook, the white one that came with the machine. You will find them in my recipes, but here is also where you can find my week. That's how you access your weekly meal plan. Your recently cooked, if you're only new, that will be very limited recipes in here. And you can also access the settings and health and safety instructions and see them again. If you go into the settings, that's where you can also adjust the time and the duration, the duration and the volume. Time and duration is probably the same, of that jingling sound it makes when it calls you. All right, so have a little bit of play in the settings because that's fun. It's the same like with your smartphone as well. And going to the little house button takes us straight back to the home screen. So I've already referenced the smart connected kitchen or the smartphone to it. So same like with your smartphones, you do have 3 little dots down here, meaning we can go swipe to the left and we can also swipe to the right, okay, to access more screens. When we swipe from the home screen to the left, then we can access Cookie Do here on the screen straight away. More to that from Mandy later in this hour. And when we swipe to the right, that's then when we can access the different modes that we have. So some of you will know the scales, the dough mode, the turbo, but the TM6 has in total 14 different modes, 21 functions, all built in the machine. And just to name a couple of really ones that really blow my mind, the egg boiler, there is a kettle mode, there is a thickening mode, a peeler mode, sous vide, slow cooking and fermentation mode, just to name a few. So that's a lot of modes and a lot of options for you to cook differently with the Thermomix. And that was just a quick introduction to the TM6 screen, in case you haven't seen it yet, or in case you haven't gone that far with your new baby on the kitchen bench. But without any further ado, we're heading over now to Mandy's kitchen, and she'll start this class with, what's going to be first?
I am doing the sauteed onions. So one of the things, thanks Janny. So one of the things that Janny mentioned was about the different temperatures you can access in your TM6. And one of the other things we can do in guided cooking is access high heat. And I'm going to be using the high heat to cook the onions. The high heat goes up to 160 degrees. So whilst we can brown onions, we can brown meats, we can caramelize onions, all those sorts of things, different vegetables. There's whole collections on this on Cookie Do. You can also make honeycomb and caramel, which let me tell you is seriously dangerous. So I don't recommend that all the time, but it's pretty good. Anyway, I'm going to come back to my screen here, and I'm going to hit the hamburger. And I'm going to my week because I've put these recipes that I'm cooking today in here. And I'm just going for sauteed onions. So I'm doing 200 to 300 grams, start cooking. Done that on purpose so that now I've taken the lid off. You can see that my scales say minus. So I need to make sure I tare them before I actually weigh the oil in. Oil here.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. Sorry, Michelle is manning our chat tonight, and if you do have any questions, then please just pop them in the chat and we can read them out and answer your questions for you. So feel free to ask anything.
Thanks, Janny. So the really important thing with the high, when you use the high heat with your onions, is they must be in wedges. So you can chop them after you cook them, but if they get chopped up first, it actually won't let you do the high heat. So when you are using the high heat, you need to make sure that you do follow the instructions. And it does, I know particularly with the sugar stages, if you don't do it correctly, it won't do it at all. So follow this recipe. So I've got just over 300 grams of onions. And instead of my measuring cup, what goes on the top is the splash guard. The splash guard is this, and you can see it's got a couple of lugs either side, and these also get captured by the arms of the TM6. So I have to say, yes, I have got that on. And then these are going to cook for 10 minutes, and that symbol there is the high heat. So all I need to do is turn. You don't turn to a certain speed, you just turn. And whilst we do that, we're going to, whilst I do that, we're going back to Janny and see it is going to whip cream.
Yes, that's right. So thanks very much for that. And now I'm trying to show you, and I'm quite confident that it will work out, how to whip cream in the Thermomix. And there's a couple of tips, there's a couple of tricks that we need to be aware of. So first of all, we need a clean bowl. So you do know that your Thermomix bowl can go in the dishwasher, and basically that's clean enough if you want to make your whipped cream, or if you want to make yogurt, if you want to make your pavlovas, stuff like that. Usually a dishwasher cycle is absolutely clean enough for that. So what else do we need to make whipped cream? We need cream. So today I'm actually using thickened cream, but that's just pure coincidence. So you can use pure cream, you can thicken cream. There is really no right or wrong cream out there on the market. It will work with all of them. The only thing is I'm going to keep whipping and turn this into butter afterwards. And the fresher, so remember always, the fresher your milk is, the longer it's going to take to turn into butter. But I'm going to show you how it needs to look like, so it's working accordingly. So actually I'm not using the whipped cream recipe, I use the butter recipe straight away. Hope you can see that. So I brought it up, and it starts with inserting the butterfly whisk. So if you haven't seen it, sometimes you see there's a little video on the screen how to do that. There is, again, no right or wrong. So your butterfly whisk sits either this way or that way in between the blades. All right? What will happen once the blades start turning, it will automatically lock the butterfly whisk in. So if you give that a little bit of twist to the left, you can see, then you can't take it out. And it won't come off if you're not cooking mashed potatoes. Mashed potato, different story. Keeps coming off. Don't try it. Anyway, so we add the butterfly whisk, and in the next step, it wants us to add 600 grams of cream. So I'm just adding that on top. And they gave me 553. So instead of 600, there you go. But that's totally fine enough. So we click on next, and it says to insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. As per default, it always wants the measuring cup inside the hole, but it basically means just put the lid on top and insert the measuring cup. You have a very familiar picture here by now when you're using your machine. So now it has set the timer to 1 minute. I'm going to ignore that. So what's going to happen is it's 1 minute, and maximum with the butterfly whisk inside is speed 4. So I'm going to turn it to speed 4. But I will actually listen to what's going to happen inside the bowl. Because when you whip your cream, you need to cook with your ears, all right? So depending on the age of the cream, depending on the temperature of the cream, it will have a different result. And you will hear the difference when the sloshing changes in the sound. Unfortunately, Zoom doesn't really let us hear, or doesn't let you hear the sloshing, but let's see how we go. So if I just turn that on, can you hear that? Okay. So it sounds very liquid still, and that's fine. And we're about 10 seconds in, 15 seconds. I can already hear changing in sound. And this was half a minute, so this was 30 seconds, and I just quickly want to show you where we're at. Okay, so it's not quite whipped yet, but it is already not liquid anymore, so you can already see the difference here. So I would say this is maximum another 10 seconds. So if I would go on the whole minute, it would be over whipped already. During the process, so that looks good. So there's 18 seconds left, and voila, this is your whipped cream. Okay, so this is what you want to see. Yeah, so basically you can turn the bowl upside down and the cream won't fall out. All right, so this is your whipped cream here. Okay, recipe number 1, cooking with your ears, maximum speed 4. Now we just keep going because I don't want to keep the whipped cream. I want to turn this into butter. So I put the the measuring cup back in, and I'm going to keep going again on speed 4. And I probably need to increase the time a couple of seconds. So now the sound has changed again. And what you will also see in a couple of seconds is that the machine will start moving. Okay? And that's then when the milk solids and the fat, also the milk liquid and the milk solids will separate from each other and will start shaking a little bit. I'm just increasing the time and I'm still listening what's happening. Okay, see it rattles a little bit more, it shakes. And now it's definitely a change in sound. See that? Alright. Probably done it a few seconds too long, but you cannot over whip your butter, which is a good thing. So what happened is this. So whenever you want to make whipped cream and you go too long, then this happens, right? So you can already see the liquid that's in the bottom here, and we can see these beautiful butter parts. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just follow the recipe. It says remove the butterfly whisk. Probably would have gone a couple more seconds, but that's fine. Putting that aside. And now we are doing the following. So I want you to have a look what I'm doing. So the recipe suggests to strain that the inside of your bowl through the through the simmering basket. But I'm going to do it the other way around. So I'm going to pop the simmering basket inside the bowl. And I'm going to strain the buttermilk straight through my simmering basket into my container right here. All right, so you can see it is, that's the buttermilk. Need to whip it a little bit more. So it's very thick. That's probably from the thickened cream. If you use pure cream, you will have much more results here, and also a little bit of, yeah, it's a bit better to demonstrate. However, that's the principle. So then I'm going to add some water to it to wash my butter. So you can use cream that is close to use by date and turn that into butter, and then use the buttermilk either straight away or freeze the buttermilk that you have. So now it says put the butter back into the bowl, but my butter is already in there, so I can skip this, put the lid on top, and now I'm going to wash this without the butterfly inside. There we go. And I'm going to repeat the process, putting the simmering basket back into the bowl and strain my buttermilk out of the bowl, like so. Now I've got enough to do that. All right, just quickly take out the rest, and what's left is pure butter. Okay, so now you can salten this butter if you like with half a teaspoon or so, and or you can make flavored butter out of it, as in add a lemon pepper butter, or obviously the herb and garlic butter, so whatever you like. And this will last a couple of weeks, and I'm going to transfer that now into a butter bell and show you where I store my butter. So this is a butter bell. You can get that in the mix shop. The butter actually goes inside this little bell, and we're going to have a bit of water on the bottom here, and you store it upside down, and this way the water will seal the butter from the air so it doesn't go rancid, and you can keep it on your kitchen bench during this Melbourne summer. Absolutely no problem. It won't melt away, that's for sure. Okay, so whilst I'm doing this, we're going back to Mandy, because I think your onions are ready, aren't they?
My onions are ready.
Okay, so let's have a look.
So, let's put this down a little bit so you can see, so I don't pour onions all over my laptop. But here we go. Can you see there's some nice colour on those? And what I can do now, if I want to, I can chop them up. So they have to be cooked. You see, I don't know if you can see some of this down the bottom here. Got some beautiful browny colours down here. So, yeah, they have to be in wedges to cook with the high heat, but afterwards you can chop them. So I will actually just do that. Put it back on here. And it's actually just telling me to put the measuring cup back and to chop for 3 seconds on speed 4. Okay. And then I can use them in, whatever I want to do. So that was actually quite slow. So you'll find when you're, I've lost everybody. My view, lost everybody. Anyway, I'm just talking to you, Janny, at the moment, but hopefully everybody else can still see me. So the onions are still, they're like that. I can chop them for longer. When you've got something very hot in your bowl, it does take a bit longer for it actually to get moving if you want to chop. And you cannot go past speed, any faster than speed 6 when it's still 60 degrees on the screen. So I think we're back to you to do a bit of bread now.
Yeah, exactly. So now that I've just quickly rearranged my ingredients here. So now that we have the butter and the buttermilk and the whipped cream, maybe, so the third recipe, we are going to make something out of that buttermilk. And we have chosen to show you the buttermilk bread. That is a very simple but very yummy and moist bread recipe, and it's also very versatile at the same time. So, same procedure. I have brought up the recipe here on my cookie dough screen, and all I need to do is click on Start Cooking. So, taking the lid off and tear the scales to 0. That's the biggest mistake that can happen, that you start weighing in an ingredient and you haven't teared back your scales. And now it asks for 180 grams of buttermilk. So I'm just using the one that I've just made, which is, just like that, and 200 grams of water. And because I've diluted already my buttermilk, the original one, I just keep going and use my buttermilk water mixture here anyway. So in total we got 380 grams of buttermilk and water. So popping that aside instead of water. So what does the buttermilk do in here? It actually works as a bread improver. Right? If you're used to making your own breads, you might be familiar with the bread improver. You don't need that with the buttermilk in here. So it works the same agent. Now we're adding 2 teaspoons of dried yeast to the buttermilk mixture. Or if you do get your hands on fresh yeast, that's also fine. And popping the lid back on and just heating that up. So 3 minutes, and the temperature setting is on 37 degrees, meaning we're just activating the yeast. I actually keep my yeast in the freezer, so I buy the bigger containers because they are price-wise a lot cheaper, and I usually store that in the freezer, so that's perfectly fine. It doesn't freeze hard, but it stays fresh for longer. Right, do we have any questions? Can't actually see the chat today. What's going on? Ah, here we are. Oh, there's a lot going on in the chat. That's good. Right, you're busy, that's good. Right, so often we get asked, how can I test if my yeast is still active? There is a trick that you can do. So if you have a bowl of warm, lukewarm water and just add a teaspoon of your yeast into the bowl and mix it through, after 10 minutes, if it starts bubbling, then your yeast is still good and active. If it's flat and nothing's really happening, then don't waste the rest of your ingredients with that old yeast, because it won't rise, it won't go anywhere. So to avoid disappointment here. You didn't know buttermilk was a bread improver? Yes. And another hot tip as a bread improver replacement is a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. That also works the treat. So basically, same principle is that acidity that we're adding to the dough, that helps it keep going, and yeah, you're avoiding any chemicals or additives that go to it. So that's the absolute benefit of the Thermomix way of cooking, that we have that temperature control and not destroying our yeast bacteria in there. Same with the yogurts. We've just made yogurt, didn't we, Mandy? we rediscovered the yogurt and absolutely loving it, because we're not only eating the yogurt in our breakfast cereals, we also started baking with it. So it's a really, really good replacement. By the way, if you don't have buttermilk because you're not making your own butter, then you can also use either yogurt instead of the buttermilk in here, or you can create buttermilk, which is actually just a sour milk, by having a cup of normal milk and add a teaspoon of vinegar to it. Let that sit for about a minute, or give it a stir through and let it sit about for a minute, and then you'll see the milk will start, it's like,
Curdle, sort of almost curdling.
That's the word I was looking for. Thanks so much. That's why we're doing this together.
Yep.
Finishing each other's sentences.
Exactly. Well, I was thinking you're doing a lot of talking. I've been doing a lot of talking with my fingers in the chat.
Very good. Very good. When you do the talking, I do the finger talking.
That's right.
Okay. So it says, meanwhile, grease a deep-sided loaf tin and set it aside. So this is my loaf tin from the mix shop that you can use with or without the lid. So if you use it with the lid, then you have the square sandwich shape. Most of the time I use it without. And I don't grease mine. So now we're adding 500 grams of baker's flour. Baker's flour, the difference here to other plain flour is that it's more glutinous, meaning has more protein in it, and it makes it more stretchy and more workable on your baking mat. Okay, so with the forming and everything. Woo. Okay, I went a tiny bit over, but it's fine.
Well, we know it's a sticky dough, so I'm sure it's fine.
Yes, that's right. Teaspoon of salt. Oh, I have this one. It's also from the mix shop. How cute is this? This is the bamboo, and I got my salt and pepper in here, and a little spoon. So I can use my teaspoon of salt, just getting that straight from here. Available in the mix shop, who would have thought? By the way, is anyone hosting here tonight? And because if you do, and this is potentially your delivery cooking experience, you do know that you get 20% off the mix shop. And in this case, you could get your hands on some of the things that we're showing you tonight, but 20% off. How good is that? So now it wants us to mix the buttermilk water and the dough together. And by doing this, have a look at my lid. So this is still clean. So it says go to speed 6. If I'm not going straight ahead to speed 6, but if I slowly increase to speed 6, then it just mixes it together. And here we keep going, but I want to show you my lid's still clean. All right. If you go fast to speed 6, everything will just thrown up in the air, and then you have an extra lid to clean. So it's just mix it together in these 6 seconds, but we're not done yet. So we just keep kneading. And this is one of the other functions that all the Thermomix models have, and it's the kneading function. So 3 minutes kneading in the Thermomix. 2 minutes actually equals half an hour kneading by hand. This is where we have a lot of time saving going on. So whilst this is kneading, we seeing now cookie dough?
Cookie dough. Yeah. So you're going to have to mute yourself, I think, with that kneading happening.
Oops, I'm doing that right now.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick little tour of cookie dough. So what we've made today is the buttermilk and the buttermilk bread. So if you were making your milk and you wanted to find ways of using up the buttermilk, what you can do is just pop in here and go buttermilk, surprise, surprise. And here we go. Whole lot of bread, scones, whole lot of things that we can actually use. Look, buttermilk mashed potatoes, corn cakes. In fact, we have 113 results. Now in here, I have some filters. I have TM6 because that means I can use anything in here. By the way, these are available on the Mix Shop and they are fantastic. I've got Australia, United States, United Kingdom and English. Every consultant does this differently, but that's how I do mine. I can use the Thermomix peeler. Now, from here, if I know I'm going to make lots of butter and I want to, use the buttermilk, I could make a collection. And I can click on here. Oh, I know what. I'm not logged in. I was thinking, what's happening here? There we are. That looks better. Now I can add this to a collection. I've got no idea why you get logged out because you use it all the time. Anyway, all right, here we go. So this is my buttermilk collection. This is where I'll find the recipes that I can add, that I can use for buttermilk. Right, see this, it's logging me out or not. Hopefully it's, and I'm in. So you can just add from these 3 little dots here. So I go, okay, I'm going to add to collection my buttermilk, whatever it is, down too far, and so on. So you can go through there and just add things to a collection. Well, I might go, actually, I don't want to make bread. I've made my butter, but I'd like to make the buttermilk mashed potatoes, but I'm not making them tonight because it's too late to eat. I'm going to add them to my week, and I'm going to pop them in for Thursday, and I'm going to save them there. Okay. So from there, if I want to find my buttermilk collection, I just go to my recipes. I have bookmarks. Now, it's very easy to get carried away with bookmarks and just have millions of them. As you can see, I have these 2. That's all. That's a learning experience, because if you have a whole heap of bookmarks, you've got to search through them all. So these are 2 that I use. I use the immune booster every second day. I use the porridge once a week, but it's just an easy one to find. I also have saved recipes. So these are saved collections. And you remember I was saying about with the high heat, there are some various collections. So I can go basic vegetables. These are all sauteing. And you can see this is actually a US collection. It's in ounces, but that's fine because if you use one of these recipes, then it will come up with ounces on the screen of your Thermomix. Very, very smart. So we've got 16 recipes, and these are just different amounts of, as we're going through. So sauteing different things. The broccoli saute is really nice too. So you have your saved collections in there, and you have your created collections here. So in here, I have that buttermilk collection down here that I've just made. When you first get your Thermomix and you first start off with cookie dough, you have no collections, no created collections. And you create what you want. So I've got some breakfast recipes. I've got some 30-minute meals, my basics. And if I come back into all, we have created recipes. And that's something that you really want your consultant to, if you want to learn more about that, it's a good thing to chat to your consultant about. It's a little bit too complex to go through right now, but you can add your own recipes, and you can also add recipes from Cookie Dough or from the Thermix recipe community and adapt them. Okay, just quickly on my week, I can also add things to my shopping list. So I can go onto here, I can add to my shopping list. Let's see that buttermilk thing I put in before. Actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to move that, which I can do here. I'm going to move it to another day, and I'm putting it in for tomorrow, and you'll see why. Because tomorrow I'm making these chicken kebabs, and I reckon that'll go pretty nicely. So I can put my, say I need my ingredients, add it to my shopping list, come up to my shopping list, show the ingredients, and I can go through here and go, well, I know I've got the raisins in my cupboard, I've got the almonds, etc., etc. You click off the things that you have. Most of us have got oil. I'm going to make mayo, so I won't need to buy the mayo, all the spices and herbs and so on. So you click off the things that you have already, and you can add extra things here. And if you go to your cupboard and you click off the eggs and go, actually, I haven't got any eggs, you can add that back in. All right. So that is Cookie Dough in a nutshell. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm presuming Janny's probably just about ready.
Yes, she is. So
perfect.
Whilst we have Michelle in the chat, is there any news? Does the online order work again? No, not yet.
No news yet.
No news yet. Okay. So for those of you who are desperately waiting for the online order to come back, Woolies is still working on it. So we'll all let you know once we hear that is working again. Anywho, the 3 minutes are over. My dough is done. So that has beautifully been kneaded in here. So what I do next is I just need you to come a bit closer once more. Here we go. So I do have my silicone mat. That is my preparation mat that I use for working all of my doughs. You can do cookie doughs in here, or your puff pastry, or even the bread rolls in here. And that is part of our host reward program. And if you want to get your hands on a set, this is the larger one. It also comes with a smaller one that can go into your oven, so it replaces the baking paper. Please reach out to your consultant, and if you're hosting today, that could be one of your host rewards. And all right, keep going. So now we have the dough inside the bowl, and what I'm doing is I just turn the bowl upside down, and I can turn the blades from the outside by just wiggling or twisting the blades here in between. So now our buttermilk bread dough is quite a sticky one, so I have to work my way here. But what usually happens is at some stage, here we go, it comes, so it just falls out, and if I keep wiggling here on the bottom, then I get it out. So here is still a bit of dough left. That's why I like to use my gloves here, so I don't have to touch the dough. So what I usually do is to get all the rest of the dough, or if you made a beautiful dip like a guacamole or so, and you want to get all the rest of the blades, don't press too much with trying with the spatula. Just pop it back in, go onto your home screen, so you can go onto that little house, so it bookmarked the recipe. And what I do is I just go up to speed 10. Just a couple of seconds. You could also use turbo for that. And then the blades have just flung everything off the blades itself, and it's just easier to take that out. So I could continue doing that in the background, but what I want to show you, so that is how sticky the dough is, and that's completely normal for this recipe. It will firm up a little bit. So, but this is the real trick about this mat and why we love it so much, is now I can fold my dough inside the silicone mat, create a little parcel pocket. This way it's airtight and it keeps the moisture inside for it ready to proof. And if it's Melbourne summer or winter anywhere else in the world, then you need a warm place to get your dough proving. So I've put some hot water inside my thermoserver, which is a double-walled insulated stainless steel bowl, which keeps the food hot or cold for up to 2 hours. And I've created a warm place for it. So that's where my dough is going to sit and starts proving. And I think we are ready to hand over back to...
You are. Okay, so I made some dough earlier, and so this is it. So it was wrapped up. I don't know, it's a bit hard to show you, but I don't know if you can see there's actually a lot of air bubbles in there. So it's really done a really good proof. And what you can do with this, you can either roll it out, you can put it in a bread tin like Janny's going to do with hers. You can put it onto a mat to bake in the oven. You can spread it out with your hands and make it into a pizza dough. You could put those onions on top. You could put some rosemary and garlic on top. You can put whatever you want on top. You could make it into rolls, in which case you would just break off little bits, or just use we've got little things, a little green dough cutter, and just make some little rolls like this. Very easy. And actually, that's what Janny made earlier. I do know. But what I love is so it's a very flexible thing. You could roll it out. You can make it into scrolls. So you know those scrolls that you pay a fortune for at Baker's Delight. You can make your own. You just flatten this out, roll it into an oblong shape, and put your spreads on there. Your whatever you want to fill it on there. Roll it up and chop it into bits and bake it. So really, no excuses for paying a lot of money for bread anymore. Now, Janny was talking about her beautiful mat, and I've got a beautiful mat too, but I'm going to show you. This is my unbeautiful mat, but this is the other half of the host rewards, all right? But I have used this for years, and it's still going. Those of you who know me know that sustainability is really important to me, so I love the fact this is still going. What you do need to be careful of when you're using these sorts of mats is you never use a sharp knife on them, because they are silicone, all right? But they go on forever. And also in the mix shop, we have our rose gold trays, and they have these amazing inserts that are silicone as well. And what I love about this is this roll here, stick that one there, and the next one goes on the next mark, and so on. So there's a lot of wonderful stuff in the mix shop, and these are one of my favorites. Do you want to show your rolls, Jan? Show us your rolls.
I show you my bread rolls. Something I prepared earlier for you. There we go. So these are little bread rolls, and I have used a bagel mixture for sprinkling that just on top. So this is another tray from the mix shop. That's the mini one, so the small one. And it has also that little silicone mat in here that you just saw. They come in a set of 3 if you like, so the small, the medium and the large, and I think there's also an extra large available. If you're in the market for rose gold or bakeware as such, this rose gold series is absolutely the best. So the quality, if you were here, I would hand you this so you could have a touch and feel. So it's really heavy, and a very, very good quality with non-sticking coverage there as well. So yeah, I'll use it as a pizza base or shape pretzels from it. So the sky's the limit, really.
Wonderful, thanks, Janny. Okay, so over to me now, and what I'm going to do first is make mayonnaise. And just in case you're not aware, anyone who doesn't have a TM6, our current offer is a second bowl and blade set for $29. And I did do a quick little wash of my bowl, but I thought, you know what, I've got a second bowl, I'm just going to pop it on and use that. It's really helpful, particularly if you're in the middle of a recipe and you read, it suddenly says, it says almond meal, and you're going, uh-oh, I've got to dump all my recipe out, clean my bowl, dry my bowl, get it really dry if I'm going to make almond meal. You can just swap over and put another bowl on. So plenty of reasons. You can ask your consultant. We have a myriad of reasons why you should have a second bowl and blade, and we all love them. All right. So with the mayonnaise, I have to say, we had a little bit of a confession session the other night about who makes what and who doesn't make what. And I didn't make mayonnaise until they came up with this cooked mayonnaise, because I didn't really like the mayonnaise. This mayo I would never ever buy again. It is so good. So what I'm going to make is the cooked mayo. Going back to the hamburger, back into my week, and hitting the cooked mayo. Okay, now when you are in the recipe, if you want to look at and see what ingredients you need first, you can just hit this little thing down here and little arrow, and you can go through. It also gives you tips and tricks down the bottom. So you can make variations on the mayo. There's so many different types. You can do curried mayo, what they've got garlic, mustard, so many types of mayo. But that's where you can have a look down there. So it's always worth looking in those tips and tricks. But I'm going to start cooking at the moment. And first tip, I have actually weighed this out. Don't use a jug, use the container that you are going to store the mayo in, all right? This just means that you're not dirtying a jug. You're just going to put the mayo back into here. So all I did was I popped the mayo, popped the jug. I'm not using a jug. Popped the container on top. Made sure my my scales were on 0, and I poured the grapeseed oil in. Now it's really important when you're making a mayo that you use a very low flavored oil, if you like, and grapeseed oil is a low flavored oil. Otherwise, if you use a strong olive oil, it's going to overpower the mayo. So I've done that. That's set aside. Okay. Next, 1 teaspoon of sea salt, and there, and 30 grams of white vinegar. Next, I'm popping the simmering basket on top. Put my simmering basket. There it is. Oh, that's my old one. I kept an old one. So simmering basket on top. So we do know now, we should all be aware that anything from 95 degrees or higher, you need the simmering basket on top, not the measuring cup. Okay. So this is going to cook for 3 minutes. It's going to go to 100 degrees, which is why we've got the simmering basket on, and it's just going to go to speed 1. Okay. Yeah, so I think I've told you a lot of the things. Yeah, flavour your mayo with horseradish. Yum, I love horseradish. So yeah, there are a whole lot of different mayos that you can use. Anyone made the mayo? Yeah, I hope so. I still can't see everybody else. Can you see people, Janny, or not? All the time, yes, absolutely. Oh, that's cool. And I know Janny often chops up when she does this segment. We've done this a few times together. She often chops up a garlic clove at the beginning and does this too, to add that in. And next, I am going to rarely eat mayo. What do you use it in? So coleslaw, just on dress, you know, just in salad dressings. Think about summertime. You know, there's like chicken salads where I forgot what it's called, coronation chicken. I should remember that to the Queen. So where you have your mayo, you steam some chicken, you pop it into your bowl. Who knows how you shred chicken? Anybody know? It's so quick and easy in a Thermomix. It is 4 seconds speed 4 reverse. Okay, that's your shredded chicken. That's your pulled pork and all those sorts of things. Absolutely, yes. Great in a potato salad as well. So it's used. Oh, there you go. I don't need to talk. You're all answering all the questions.
Going off, yes. Just need to ask a question. That's good.
That's really great. Wonderful. Yeah. So plenty of ways you can use it. And as well as mayos. So the great thing, what we're going to do with this mayo. Oh, yeah, okay, you're Italian. Of course you're Italian, yes. What we're going to do is we're going to emulsify this mayo, and we're going to do that by slowly pouring oil in through the lid. And I just wanted to let you know that you can also emulsify a smoothie. Anyone make smoothies?
Not yet.
No.
Oh, yes, Diana does.
Yes, great, Diana. Okay. So sometimes you'll find that your smoothie, if you leave it to sit, it will separate. you can actually emulsify your smoothie where you put all the ingredients in apart from the liquid, a little bit of the liquid because you can't be too dry. And then you're going to do exactly as I do with drizzling the oil in, and that will emulsify your smoothie and will mean that you can pop it in the fridge and come back to it and it won't just separate it. So this is a really great technique. Show us your butter now.
So yeah, so whilst you're doing this, so I've just added my butter inside the butter bell. Okay, so this is then the spreadable one, and that's basically gonna live inside here, and I store it upside down inside this bowl, and the water will seal it, like I said, so this can stay on the kitchen bench, and you take it out and you've got spreadable butter all summer long. But yeah, but I do recommend you change the water every second day or so, at least, just to keep it fresh, and maybe add also a little bit of ice cube to it also, just to keep it fresher.
Wonderful. There's a question there for you, Janny. In summer, is it too hot to leave out on the bench?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. So I would still put it up. So like I was joking about the Melbourne summer. So if it's getting stinky hot, then I wouldn't do it. I would still put it in the fridge. But yeah, all winter I have it outside, no problems whatsoever.
And just to clarify, you don't put oil in your smoothie. It's whatever liquid. So if you're using, I have a smoothie where I use almond milk, you could do it with that. It could be you using coconut water, any of those sorts of things. Okay, so here we are, back to the mayo. So it's asking me to crack 2 eggs and set aside, which I have done. Excuse me. And then it says, turn the speed selector to speed 3, meanwhile follow the next step. So I'm going to turn it to speed 3, and it's asking me to add the reserved eggs through the hole in the mixing bowl lid. And this is the cooking bit of the mayonnaise. So it's heated up the vinegar and the salt, and now it's just giving the eggs a bit of a cook. So this is a really great one for pregnant people as well, ladies, I suppose, because we get pregnant men, pregnant ladies. Okay, now this is really interesting. You do need to read the screen here because it looks like it's gone back to almost the previous screen. It says, please click next. We're going to put the lid back in, and this is where I'm going to stand here for 1.5 minutes and slowly drizzle in the oil. So I'm going to get the lid off the oil. I'm going to turn up to speed 6. Here we go, slowly.
So, and whilst Mandy is doing this, I am actually cleaning my bowls in the background, and I'm using the pre-clean mode, which is built in the mode section on the, left-hand side. So I just basically go here, swipe to the side, and I select the pre-clean. And here I have a selection between dough, universal, fat or caramel and browning. And because that's the bowl I made the butter in, I'm going to choose the fat or caramel. And I've filled in like 1 liter of water just to cover the blades. Added a drop of morning fresh to it. And all I'm going to do is turn it on, and it will use heat to warm up the butter and the wash and the liquid. And and all I need to do is then give it afterwards a rinse, and with my bowl brush go through, and I'm ready to go for the next cook.
Perfect timing. All right, so let me show you my mayo. Look at that. It's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to just scrape some of the lid here. And I'm going to put some of it into that jar, not all of it, because I'm going to use some of it in the coleslaw, and there's no, putting it all in the jar. So with the jar, what you can do, instead of call it a funnel, you can put, this actually sits beautifully over here. You can put your lid, I put it upside down because that's dirty anyway, and you can use it as a funnel. Whenever you're scraping out your bowl, you want to push everything right down to the bottom. And then you're going to scrape in a clockwise direction, because then you're hitting the rounded side of the blades, not the sharp side of the blades. All right, as I said, I'm not going to pop all of it in. I'm leaving some in because I'm going to make the coleslaw. All right, but you can see how beautiful and thick that is. That's the emulsification. I think I'm just mayonnaising my laptop here. All right, so that's the mayo. It's very simple and really delicious. As I said, never used to make it all the time now. Okay, just quickly whilst we're in here too, I just want to show you these 3 magic dots. So next to the next sign, to the left, there are 3 dots. And in there, I can access my scales if I want to. And I can also access recipe detail, which is what we were looking at before down here. And I can also access a preview. So it will tell me what's going to come up. All right. And also, which is what I really want to access, is cancel the recipe. Yep. All right. So back now into my week and the curried coleslaw. I'm going to be a little bit of a variation on this because I've got the mayo in my bowl already. I'm going to go start cooking. Normally, you put the parsley in first and you chop it, but I'm going to put it in with some of the other ingredients. There are, people think, oh, coleslaw, how boring. There are various coleslaws. There's a Texas coleslaw on Cookie Do. There's this curried coleslaw. I think there's like a Hawaiian coleslaw as well. So there's a whole lot of different ones. I'm popping in my parsley. I'm not going to put the lid on because I'm going to chop it up with others. As I said, this is going to be a little bit of a mixture of couple of recipes. It's asking for carrots. Now, little trick, when you're putting your vegetables in for chopping, you need to make sure they will fit through like that. It's roughly at the size of the dial of the Thermomix. So I'm putting in my carrots. 60 grams of spring onion. I know I'm a bit under there, but that's all right. Then I've got 120 grams of raisins and 120 grams of unsalted raw peanuts. I'm going to ask who's going to go away and try this because it's really good. All right. Pop my lid on. 3 seconds, speed 5. It's asking me to transfer that to a serving bowl. So I'm just going to pop it in a bowl here for the moment. There we go, all beautifully chopped up. Again, I'm going to do the same thing, push down this way, and then go in a clockwise direction. I think I'm ready for tomorrow's lunch already. It doesn't have to be spotless. Okay. And now I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of curry powder. So if you haven't had a look and explored on, it's a really crappy sign, I know, but that's my curry powder. It's quicker for me. So I live literally 5 minutes from Chadstone. It's quicker for me to make this at home and go and buy some. And it's really delicious. So 1 teaspoon of curry powder. It's now going to ask for the mayo, but oh no, the cabbage. There's a whole lot of cabbage here.
So I've popped a link into the chat box for the curried coleslaw recipe. Is that the one from the UK? Is that the Super Salads collection?
I'm not even sure. I just the one that's bookmarked, or not bookmarked, just in my collection.
Okay, that's the one I found. It resembled most with what you're doing right now. Yeah. But obviously in the basic cookbook that you have, there's the classic coleslaw as well.
Thank you. Now, this is another little tip. Every now and then they will ask you to put your spatula through the hole in the lid of the mixing bowl. Now, in this recipe, I would normally be putting the mayo in now, but I'm just going to chop up the cabbage. So 8 seconds, speed 4. So you can, with a clear conscience, you can put your spatula in because of the collar, it's not going to hit the blades. There was a lot of cabbage in the way too, just quietly. Look at all that. So, and I'm just going to put that in the serving bowl and mix it all up. So super, super simple. And as you can see, it makes an awful lot.
It makes a lot. There's going to be a lot of...
But I'm just going to mix it up so I've got the mayo in there as well and everything else mixed up. But yeah, that is a bowl full of coleslaw. It's meant to serve 6, but I reckon you could probably serve a few more of that.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Wow, it looks so good. Really.
Smells good.
Nice variation of a classic of the coleslaw. So yeah, so same like we have variations with beetroot salad or other recipes in there, or you can put your own signature to it and save them into cookie dough, into your own created recipes, like Mandy said earlier. That is, you need Cookie Dough 3.0 for that. Meaning that's the one with the $69 subscription per year, and we're just blown away how Cookie Dough gets better and better over time. A new feature that has just recently, or just last week I think it was, arrived, was the scaling up and down of recipes inside Cookie Dough. So if you find a recipe like this one here and it is for 6, and you think, oh my God, this is way too much, I want to scale this down, then you can go into Cookie Dough and you can scale it down for maybe 1/3 or maybe even half, you know, so just to make it to your needs and your liking. If you want to use this recipe for entertaining for Christmas maybe, then you can also scale it up potentially. So obviously there's also a maximum volume in the bowl, but on principle it's possible to adjust the amounts of recipes now as well. So
and just with that, I mean, how quick was that?
Well,
You were feeding it crap, but you could do 2 of those in about 5 minutes.
absolutely, yeah. That's obviously always an option, just to repeat. And so before we say thank you for joining us here tonight, I just quickly want to recap what happened. So my dough here is still proving, so I've given it a couple more minutes before I put it into my bread tin to give it then a second rise. I put it in a cold oven, and the time the oven needs to heat up is then the time for my second rise. And all I'm doing is following a recipe. So I'm by no means a bread maker. I have no background knowledge on that whatsoever. So this is the beauty with all the Cookie Dough recipes. We just can read the instructions, we just follow it through, and it's mostly guaranteed that it will be a success.
I'm just telling, with my dough, I don't eat bread. I've made this just for you, and mine's going to go in the freezer, and next time I see my daughter, she's getting some pizza dough.
Oh, there you go. Yes, again, so very versatile of that. Yeah. All right, so if you were hosting tonight, or if you think, yeah, I really liked that thermoserver, that idea to keep my food hot or cold for up to 2 hours in now with the upcoming summer and with the lid in a tray. So if that's something you have that has caught your eye, yeah, or Mandy's holding here in the camera, that's our blade cover peeler. So a couple of different accessories that we have. The thermoserver is actually a money can't buy item, all right? You either have to host a cooking experience to get your hands on them, or you can join our team, so you can join the business, learn so much more about your Thermomix and make the most out of your investment. Join a team, become a consultant, the thermal server is going to be part of your business kit. For just $125, you receive a business kit full of items which is valued at $340. If you do already have a Thermomix, then all you need to do is get your business kit, come on board, get a training, try us out for 60 days, see how you like it. If you don't, fine, no hard feelings. The business kit is yours to keep. And but you might like it, and you join a team of like-minded personalities who all have one thing in common with you, and that is the love for their Thermomix.
And Janny, how long have you been a consultant?
I'm doing this over 7 years now. Still loving it to this day.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too.
Same you, right?
Yeah, same.
We hang out quite some time already together, and it's not only the Thermomix love. It's also we made some real great friendships here as well along the way. So there's other host rewards available as well. So talk to your consultant, whatever you would like to see. So if what you saw here tonight wasn't quite what you were after, let your consultant know and ask them what you want to see, and they will be happy to come to your place. All you need to do is invite 1 or 2 friends, and get your hands on the host rewards as well. And if you're not have had your delivery cooking experience or delivery demo with your consultant yet, please reach out to them, ask them. You get 20% off discount off the mix shop items, and and you can pick and choose. It's great in the lead up to Christmas now, also to save up some money for beautiful Christmas gifts that we have there as well.
Absolutely.
Have I forgotten anything?
Don't think so. But thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Janny, for doing your bit and being really good with your chatting.
Right. They tried to shut me down, but it's not going to work. All right. Yes. So Michelle, thank you so much. She has just popped in also a link in the chat box where you can sign up if you want to just come. It's no obligation. Have a chat with us. Have a chat with Michelle about what's involved and what would it mean for you. You've got absolutely nothing to lose, but a lot to gain. And we would love to welcome you back in one of our teams, or maybe you create your own team, who knows? All right, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We're a little bit over with the time, but this is probably me talking too much again. But it was a pleasure, and happy mixing.
Thanks, Janny.
Bye, everyone.